Good morning, welcome aboard to Smart Means Business. Hope you're doing fine, hope you're doing okay. You are watching Smart Means Business. It is 2 minutes off the hour of 7 o'clock and we are here to drive your business, to give you more business information as you're supposed to be receiving it in real sense, real time. And of course, business updates as you can get it. It is the 10th of March. 2023, and it's a Friday, a cold one, a cold morning, and of course a busy morning when you look at the kind of weather that does look so unpredictable as of now. But well, the business community never rests, or it never has time to go into a recession of giving themselves an awful, let's say, leave in such weather. You always have to participate regardless of the kind of situation that you're facing. But besides that, you can as well be part of investments, and in Uganda's investments today, there is a platform, Zabu. Zabu is making it very possible for you to invest and make sure that your investments keep on growing. Remember, with the platform, all you need to do is simply dial *292# and follow the prompts. In that way, you will be able to kickstart off your investment journey. Well, you can invest in securities and most preferably government bonds. And with the government bonds, all you need is a minimum of 15,000 Ugandan shillings, and you will be able to invest or kickstart off your investment. It is as simple as you can get. But the markets open at 8:15 a.m. and tell you what, they also close at 3:15 p.m. East African Standard Time. Do note that these markets are fully closed during the weekends and on public holidays. Zabu, my money, my future. All takes East Africa do something new. Well, as we kick it off into the second hour of the show now, what we definitely going to be looking at for the moment in our business update is looking at the Kampala City Council Authority property probe, as the mismanagement of properties is still on high, especially properties that are being regulated under KCCA or those that run within the city council. But of course, KCCA has been warned and also reminded or cautioned that these particular properties need to be recovered because by the look of things, they are properties that were supposed to be overlooked or overseen by KCCA, and now they're being run by private entities, and in turn, citizens are not benefiting from them. So this is where most of the legislators are actually calling upon KCCA to work on this. Now, this follows up a situation where KCCA is still appearing before the COSASE in order to at least appeal or give out their report of how they performed last year. Now, this is more like a performance to see how the funds that they were given last year or in the current financial year were used at the time before we get into a new financial year. And in this report, we do have Joel Senyonyi, the chairperson of the COSASE, as well as Caleb Mugisha, Director Legal Services, KCCA, who was responding to some of the queries from the board.
Merely intimating that I was not made aware of that recommendation. Secondly,
Chair, that is important information. Please proceed.
I am not. I am only answering for what I know as the Director, Legal Affairs. Secondly, I did give a position when we were actually last here. The number of facts that have come out on this table that actually affect that position. But I want to point out a few things. First of all, in light of this new information, we can go back and actually give a position of what we think is legally tenable.
No, this is already information.
Now,
I don't know why mics are on this end. We finished on this end, honorable colleagues.
Secondly, I would also want to point out a matter of law, which the lawyers, including Honorable Abdallah Chuwanaka and Honorable Muwada, allegedly should know. From what has come out today.
Proceed, your chair. I'm an advocate, courts of judicature.
Yes. Thank you, Honorable Muwada.
There's no allegation here.
My apologies. Honorable Chair, from what has come out in the course of proceedings today, it has become quite clear to me that what Uganda Land Commission had as an interest in the land where this dispensary was located was what in law we call an estate in fee simple absolute, meaning they had no restriction on user whatsoever. Once they woke up to grant a lease to Securex Amenities Limited, subject to the condition that they would have certain levels dedicated to a dispensary, there was created automatically a subordinate interest. That subordinate interest would ordinarily have been either an easement or what we call profits a prender, or alternatively, it would have been a license. But that particular interest in law is a registrable interest that should have been part and parcel of the titling process. Now, the fact that it is not part and parcel of the titling process creates its own challenges, because once a third party acquires an interest in that property, he acquires it only with knowledge of the interest created. But like I've indicated, Honorable Chair, we are going to study this matter in detail and give a legal opinion in detail based on the information we have had today.
As we continue with the inquiry into KCCA, a couple of other things have cropped up. There's properties that are under the management of KCCA, which they are really not managing properly, which they are not stewarding as they should. Some most recent, others dating back to back then. There's a property on plot 71 Nkrumah Road. It used to house a KCCA health center. Eventually it was leased to a company, Securex, owned by one Ephraim Taganda and other people. This lease was given to a company, but then the company was formed after it had been given a lease. So how do you give a lease to a non-existing company? Because at the time it was not existing. And then shortly after that, it acquired freehold, not even the lease. So there's a lot of illegalities that happened around this issue. Fraud, because a special audit was done, and clearly there was fraud every step of the way. So for us, we are insisting that has got to be recovered. That was a health center belonging to Ugandans. Even in the fake lease agreement, I'll call it fake because it was given to a non-existent company. But even therein, they had said there must be 2 floors left for a health center. But the whole thing is a shopping mall for an individual. So how is the citizen, the resident of Kampala, benefiting from that when they were running to the health center for attention? That cannot happen anymore. We can't keep operating this way.
Well, of course, that is Joel Senyonyi, who's the committee chairperson, the COSASE chairperson. Well, by the look of things as well, if I'm to put it in this way, you get to realize that according to the committee's findings, is that KCCA apparently now has property that has been leased to private entities, individuals whose names I wouldn't wish to mention on air. But then at the end of it all, you as well get to understand that this is where you ask yourself questions. Then where will the citizens or the wananchi, where does this leave the wananchi? For example, there are some buildings here which were supposed to be public entities, or that were supposed to house, for example, public organizations. He did mention of a building that was housing a health center, now leased to a private entity or to a private owner, who is now operating it, who is actually operating his businesses under that same particular building. So these are some of the things that KCCA is being questioned, or that is being questioned before the committee to give responses onto why this is done that way. Because at the end of the day, these kind of buildings will take time to be recovered. For example, if someone leased a property for around 10 to 5 years, the entire period there, by the time the lease is done, someone else will come out and lease it or rent the same property. So it takes you to a reason of understanding that will this be recovered. Of course, KCCA has been reminded to recover this property because it does seem like they have failed to manage the government property, or what you could say public property in that regard, because now it is actually rising highly. The mismanagement does look like it will cost the Ugandans, especially the taxpayer and those operating with, within the city perimeters. Well, besides that also, KCCA, there is also something to do with KCCA that resolved to halt issuance of contracts to casual workers. following, of course, another finding just recently from the same committee, COSASE, regarding the fact that casual workers, most of them weren't receiving salary in time, less pay, and all that. And KCCA's KCCA's executive director, Miss Dorothy Chisaka, says that their jobs are secure because by the look of things, there may even be short-term contracts for some of them. That is more like job security. I think for one to be secure of their job, it has to say a lot about the kind of security you're going to have, and contracts do present that for most of the business people. And of course, the casual workers were having their own issues. Some of them had actually decided to do a sit-down strike of not going to, to their official duties, simply because of the fact that there was delay in salary payments, and they had further grievances, which include the allowances and the conditions under which most of them were working. And yet, according to KCCA, in the kind of the budget that they had for the financial year, clearly showed that they were paying these people. But according to the latest details coming through, is that KCCA has resolved to have the issues of contracts to casual workers. So it is most likely to be now very realistic according to what is being reported in here, because by the look of things, they have unanimously resolved to have the issues of contracts for cleaning the city, especially you've seen all these casual workers. There are those who actually carry garbage, or those who deal in sweeping roads in the morning. All those casual workers, especially those that don't aprons and all that cardigans that are written on KCCA, all those are the people who belong to this particular, these are people who belong to the casual workers. And in 2021, KCCA called for bids for groups to offer cleaning services, including sweeping streets, maintaining the green and deslating the drainage in the city. And a source at KCCA says that 20 slots were created, 4 of which 5 city divisions. However, last month it emerged that of the 20 slots, only 5 had been given to people who had been doing this job for years. And KCCA leaders at the divisions are in charge of this cleaning function, and the town clerks with their teams are the first place for an appeal if anything goes wrong, according to Ms. Dorothy Chisaka. So KCCA is working on at least making sure that they streamline how these people will be working within the city. And we do hope that this will as well pass through, and it will be quite helpful to the casual workers within Kampala. Well, now, besides that, let's get into the press review this morning. All right, now with the press review, the New Vision says there is changes across ministries which are likely to take effect on 1st July as the financial year 2023-2024 kicks off. This is one of which includes managers. Over 100 commissioners set to lose jobs, with government entities likely to merge under one ministry. All this goes back to the budget cuts. Which ministries are going to be affected? Which commissioners? New Vision has details here in regards to business. Then, besides that, the First Lady has directed universities on quality, or the kind of education they're supposed to be giving out. This is a detail coming in with the New Vision as well. Now, Naro has developed new cassava variety. This is in regards to the agriculture and business in it. So you can easily see more of that from the New Vision. And then the NSSF Saga Parliament has adopted probe committee report. You can easily get more of the detail as the NSSF Saga continues to take a different twist of things, and quite a number of elements being discussed in here as well. And also from the other perspective, the judiciary has mourned the late Justice Kakuru. This is more to do with the kind of respects that were given to him later just yesterday, as MPs now want NSSF board fired and Amongi to resign, according to the details coming in here. Now, also with the Kabaka birthday run, Kabaka commits more years to fight HIV and AIDS. This is another detail in regards to this particular report here from the New Vision. Now, furthermore, the universities have been directed on the kind of quality that is needed from the Education Ministry, and also government has okayed the anti-gay bill. More provisions within here in the new vision. Now, a date has been set for Ugandans to start traveling to South Africa without visas, according to what the new vision has put in place this particular morning. And also a different twist from the entertainment world is, will artists survive TikTok music, or will their market be declined? That is more to do with entertainment business here with the new vision. Now, also moving further with the Daily Monitor, still with the press review though, is that court has ordered URA off bank clients' accounts, as 5 justices of the Constitutional Court in a unanimous decision call out the taxman for poking nose in the details of bank clients' accounts, saying that the demand is unconstitutional and infringes on the privacy of customers. Wow, this is another big report that needs a lot of getting deeper into understanding it, and the Daily Monitor brings it deeply to you. Now, still on the issue to do with the Lubowa the Lubowa saga, the Lubowa Hospital saga, we have a report coming up today in the show as well. But Daily Monitor says the Health Ministry seeks 2.7 billion for Lubowa Hospital, as in early 2019 Parliament approved the loan guarantee of 1.4 trillion shillings. This particular one was to Finansi Oroko Construction Limited, a special purpose vehicle for the construction of the International Specialized Hospital of Uganda, which is to be in Lubowa. And of course, there is a quotation of what the president has said on the same matter, the Minister of Finance, and then also what the Minister of Health, Honorable Jane Ruther Cheng, has to say in regards to this. Now, also, government plans 70 billion shillings payout for ESCOM. This is another one coming in with the Daily Monitor. The anti-homosexuality bill tabled in House, and then also House wants Amongi out and Byarugaba punished over the issue to do with NSSF. Now, there is also a detail where a lawyer puts UCC on notice over pay TVs in regards to the kind of rise in subscriber or subscription fees in that perspective. Now, also, URA continues to dig deeper, or rather banks continue to, rather the High Court continues to dig deeper into URA's interference or infringement into clients' bank accounts, and that is what the Constitutional Court has ruled, in order to direct URA to stop doing this, because it is unconstitutionally wrong for them to do this, as Minister orders URA on gold exports. Well, that is it for the press review this morning. All right, now it is 20 minutes off the hour of 7 o'clock. I didn't mention that it's a cold morning within Kampala and the neighboring areas, simply because it did pour as early as 5:30 a.m. and it has continued to drizzle until around 7 a.m. So clearly you will be able to realize that traffic jam is highly expected this morning because of the fact that some people were not ready to move within the rain, so they were waiting and stretching a little bit to wait for the rain to calm down a little bit to at least hit the road. But that means we need to understand how is the flow of vehicles, or how is the flow of traffic this morning, and with that we're heading into our traffic updates for you to at least see which route does seem simpler, or how is it going on with some of the areas that is actually coming in from that. But of course, you get to realize that most of the areas are always affected when it does rain. The month of January was one that was a bit rainy, and then February presented itself with a lot of hot temperatures. Surprisingly though, March on the other hand started on a good note. It has not been too cold, but it has not been too hot either. But then when you do realize rain pouring as early as 6 a.m. is a big sign of, let's say, some good kind of blessing for anybody out there. I think for the business community as well. Like in the African tradition, you do realize rain has always been a sign of blessing. However, sometimes it affects the business narrative, or the business, or the flow of business within society. But by the look of things, you get to see that for those who definitely use Entebbe Road, for example, around the former clock tower, or currently where the Kampala flyover, where the center of the Kampala flyover is at now, you do realize that that is one of the busiest places that can connect you to town. Simply because in there is where most of the vehicles that are heading to Entebbe Road, that are heading to Makindye, those who are actually heading to Katwe use that same route. But besides that, now where we're heading to, we have Barija Andrew on ground already, a man who's already putting on a jumper, clearly showing you what the kind of weather you're going to experience as early as possible today. It's just drizzling though, and we're switching to him now to see where he is at and what is he observing in regards to the traffic flow.
Very rainy morning just right here. We are at the Kira Road junction, and of course the traffic lights, observing the traffic atmosphere in here, and of course taking a look at the situation, it's quite a little bit congested, and of course we attribute this to the rain. If you're to look at the Ntinda Bokota route, very thick all the way from the very first traffic lights still in here. It's quite a little bit of a complex congestion. So in case you're coming from those areas and you're probably going to town to transact any business you're going to transact, it's quite a little bit very congested according to what we are observing just right in here. Ntinda Bokota route, for the people that are coming from those areas, you're probably coming from Kisasi and you plan to use this road and you're coming to execute the different businesses. As you can really observe, it's quite a little of a congestion in there, if you're to really see. And of course, the vehicles held in there with the traffic officers controlling the jam. And we see quite a very huge fleet all the way from the top coming in down just right here as we are observing on this drizzling morning. And it's actually going beyond drizzling, but it's really turning out to be actual rain. Well, that is the situation as we're observing, and of course some of the vehicles are connecting to the Lugogo bypass, heading to the different locations, probably like Nakawa. Some are heading to Ntinda, and so many of those areas into the Lugogo bypass, connecting in that way. So that is the situation as we are observing it in here, right here at the Kira Road junction. What is really transparent. Now let's take a look at Kira Road. And of course, that one seems to be a little bit very slight. I mean, there is no congestion in there. Those are the people that are coming from, probably town, and they're connecting to these areas. They're heading to Ntinda, they're heading to Bukota to execute the different businesses. And if you're that kind of a person and you're watching right now, it's quite a little bit a friendly time for you to come in here and you go and execute the business. If you're going to use the Kira Road junction, that is quite very friendly for you, and you will be in position to actually reach in the appropriate time as you ought to reach. Yeah, seeing the vehicles held in here, but it's not really quite a long fleet of vehicles like as compared to certain routes, so it's quite a little bit fair. So if you're coming from those areas, you will be in position to actually go and execute your business efficiently, and everything will be quite very interesting and very efficient. So that is the situation as we are observing it in here at the Kira Road junction. Quite congested, most especially for the Ntinda Bokota route, but the rest of the route seems to be a little bit okay in that regard. Seeing the vehicles just held, of course, to go to the different destinations as we are here at this very place, observing the traffic atmosphere in here. Now seeing some of the vehicles from the street, from the Lugogo bypass, and of course the route adjacent to Lugogo bypass, seeing them, and of course they had been held for quite some time, but it's not really quite a thick fleet of vehicles, and majority of these ones are heading to Ntinda Bokota route, to execute the different businesses. So it's quite a free lane. The route adjacent, that is to the Lugogo bypass, it's quite a free lane, not really congested. But by the time we came in here, the vehicles had been held for some intervals, and it was quite a long fleet of the vehicles. But just in a few minutes, whilst they have been quite very smooth, it's really quite so smooth. It's only one route right here which is very congested, and that is the people that are, as we seem to be a little free. Now let's take a look at the Lugogo bypass itself, and of course people connecting to areas like Nakawa mainly. Yeah, that is the situation. And of course some of the vehicles you're observing are coming from Kira Road, connecting in straight there, and some are also being held in the jam at the Ntinda Bokota route, but of course expected to be released after some time to go and execute the different businesses. So that is the situation just right here at the Kira Road traffic lights observing, and it's quite a little congested. But for mainly those people that are from Tindabukoto and you're planning to come to town, that's a little congested. But the rest of the routes that connect in here are quite a little bit free as we are observing it today. Of course, on this Friday, on a very drizzling morning. And that is it for the traffic updates this morning. I'm Andrew Barije, and back to studio with Ijora.
Andrew, giving you a little bit more of a glimpse of what is happening around the old Kira Road. For those who are coming in from Naguru, Bukoto, those who used it, of course, the Lugogo bypass. So it's critical, really, for you to at least get to understand how important it is for you to see the weather in the morning, or how the flow is, or how the weather has affected the flow of traffic as of now. It never looks that busy at 7 when it rains, but it does seem like it would be at around 8 or 9. Okay, that is it for the traffic updates, and of course taking us into the break. When I return though, Karibu East Africa and the latest from the international scene. Good morning.